Seattle Seahawks veterans report to the VMac today for the 2025 season. What's up, everyone? Good Tuesday morning, a very important Tuesday morning for these Seattle Seahawks. Maybe not so much for us fans, because it's not necessarily something that is actionable to us yet, but it is very important to the players, the coaches, and the team. Today is the day where all Seahawks players, veterans and rookies alike, need to report to the VMac. Last week, we had the deadline for the rookies that a couple rookies actually missed because they weren't under contract yet. Well, now the veterans need to all show up today, and to the best of my knowledge, they're all going to be there. There's no reason to believe anybody's going to hold out. There's no reason to believe anybody's going to be making any kind of a problem going into this training camp, because I don't know of anybody who's unhappy with their contract. I don't know of anyone who's in a position to hold out for an extension. As far as I know, everybody's going to be there today, which that's a good start. Sometimes, I mean, we've seen this in some recent off seasons. Players have made their lack of new contract displeasure known. Doesn't seem like that's happening this year. Good start. They don't hand out trophies for that, but it's better than having to deal with someone who isn't happy. All right. Now that we're here, I like many of you may have noticed, I took the day off yesterday. I didn't post any videos yesterday. That will probably be the last day I don't post a video until the end of the season. And honestly, probably until like May, maybe June even. Because there's just going to be nonstop stuff to talk about, even right now. Tomorrow is the first training camp session. We're going to get all kinds of information from that in all likelihood. I'm going to make a video about that. And going forward, most days, there's going to be some stuff to get into with whatever we hear from the VMac. And even in the circumstances where we don't, there's still stuff that can happen with the team off the field, like front office stuff. Somebody could get extended, somebody could get traded, somebody could get released, somebody could get signed. There are going to be things happening constantly, and I anticipate making, at the very least, daily videos, even between now and the first preseason game. And once we get to the preseason, of course, you would expect constant updates, constant new stuff to talk about, constant new stuff to get into. So we're off to the races, people. We are here, made it through the off season. Now we go. And before we get to training camp, because it officially starts tomorrow, the players get today to kind of settle in, feel things out, and just kind of make the transition from wherever they were before to Seattle, or, well, Renton. I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the training camp storylines to watch that have a significant chance of impacting the team in 2025. Because there's a lot of stuff to watch. Pretty much everything is something to watch, right? There's nothing that isn't interesting, but what are the things that are really going to affect what we get out of the team in 2025? Like, as an example, Jalen Milroe. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does over the next couple weeks. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can show improvement, if he can show that he's moving past some of the bad habits he had from college, if he can start to show that he could one day be a good NFL quarterback. But there's just no way that Jalen Milroe is in play for QB1. It would require such a disastrous training camp and preseason from Sam Darnold, and probably Drew Lock as well, that it just doesn't feel like that is something that can happen. So while it would be cool if Milroe looks good and is showing that he's making progress, I don't think it has a big effect on the team in 2025. Same with something like Damian Martinez versus Kenny McIntosh trying to battle it out for running back 3, and the other guy becomes running back 4. Yeah, it's interesting, but is it really going to affect the team that much? Is it really going to have an impact on whether or not this team can make the playoffs? I don't think a good running back 3 is going to be worth one win over the course of a season. I don't even think it's worth half a win probably not even a quarter of a win. You'd have to deal with some very, very bad luck with your running back depth chart to get to a place where that even has a chance of happening. So with that being said, what are the key things to watch over the next couple weeks before our first preseason game, and as we finally start to get a consistent flow of information? I would say for me, on the offense, it's all about the offensive line, and I know that's a little bit of a cliche, but cliche things become cliche because they're often true, and I want to see how the interior breaks out, because I'm still not entirely convinced that this is going to be the starting unit. Right now, we have Cross and Lucas. They're going to be the starters, of course. It's the three guys on the inside that I think could get mixed and matched a little bit, and that's worth watching. Gray's Abel currently going to be a left guard, but we all know he is not guaranteed to be able to cut it there. He might have to play center in the NFL because of how short his arms are. A lot of people theorize that he was a center in college and that he's going to end up having, well, coming out of college, I should say. He wasn't a center in college, but he will have to play center in the NFL to make it. And if we end up finding that out the hard way in training camp or the preseason, I don't know if we'd make the change instantly, but we could make the change quickly. And if we start seeing worrying signs in camp, that's kind of an early indication. Oluwatimi, he's okay. He's one of the 30 best centers in the league, I think. But I don't see a lot of evidence that indicates that this team is enamored with him in any way. And I don't see a lot of evidence that they think that he just has to be their guy. There's reason to believe they like Jalen Sundle, or at the very least, they're intrigued by Jalen Sundle because the alternative is Oluwatimi. So I'm not completely ruling anything out there either. And then you've got this right guard battle where you got Christian Haynes, really bad rookie year, but should fit this new system a lot better, and is someone who was supposed to be a sure thing coming out of college. So it'd be very, very surprising and strange to me if he ended up not working out at all. So there's got to be something he can do. And then you got Anthony Bradford, super talented guy who just can't quite put it all together. And even a guy like Lomia played passably well last year when he got his reps at right guard. Could Christian Haynes move to center? Could Christian Haynes move to left guard? If these things happen, then what's the downfield effect? Does Bradford become the starting right guard if Haynes is center? Does Zabel move to center if Haynes is the left guard? Does Lomia maybe supplant Bradford and become the starting right guard in these scenarios? There's a lot that can happen there, and the story is going to start being told in training camp. That's the number one. The main other thing that I want to see is Torrey Horton and how far behind, if at all, he is after missing some of the offseason work because of the injury. He did not do a lot his final year in college, and he has missed some time with an injury. It seems like he's mostly past it. I didn't hear about him on the NFI or the PUP. That's a good indication, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be able to go at 100 miles an hour in camp or games. I would say that while he is at best right now wide receiver 4, there could be an impact from that. Defensively, I feel like things are a little more settled and set here, but I really want to see what they're doing up front. Who's nose tackle? Is there an early indication that Jaron Reed is going to play nose tackle? If not, then what are they doing at nose tackle? And how are they going to make the 3-tech situation happy? Is Byron Murphy going to be nose tackle again? If so, how are they planning on getting the most out of him when he's clearly playing out of position? Is the plan to play Jonathan Hankins way more snaps than I'm expecting? And if that's the case, how do you split snaps between Big Cat, Murphy, and Reed? How do you make that work if the plan is not play Jaron Reed at nose? I don't know. And I'm hoping that the answer ends up being simple, which is they're going to play Reed at nose. But we will find out, and we'll start finding out in training camp. Uchenna Nwosu, when is he going to come off the NFI list? Right now, he is not able to. Right now, he is not, or excuse me, not the NFI list. He's on the PUP list, but regardless, he is not yet able to play football because he is recovering from off-season surgery. How soon he gets off that list is going to be must-see TV. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be in a week? Will it be in 3 weeks? Will it be in a month and a half? Will it be before the final preseason game? What we see from Uchenna Nwosu in terms of his ability to get back on the field is going to be very informative, because if he doesn't get back soon, maybe we have to trade for somebody. Maybe we have to go make a deal. Maybe we have to shake things up a little bit so we don't have a super thin edge rotation of 3 guys and probably Tyreek Smith, because we don't have that superstar that can just completely carry the load. We are dependent on having 4 guys that can all play. I'm not worried about Nwosu once he gets on the field. I'm just worried about him not being on the field. That's mostly it. I would say that there's also some intrigue around how the secondary is going to shake out, because you've got the Nick Emenwari situation. Nominally, he's a backup safety, but there's a lot of hype around him maybe playing nickel corner full-time. If that happens, then Witherspoon moves to the outside full-time. And then what happens to Josh Joby? Does he get to play very much? What about Shaq Griffin? Does Shaq Griffin have anything left? Could Shaq Griffin be a roster cut? Could Shaq Griffin end up not making the roster at all because he's at the age where he doesn't have a ton left to give, and we don't have the snaps to give him? I'd say that's pretty compelling. And if that's the plan with Emenwari, then are we also going to play him in 3 safety sets? There's some stuff going on here. Those are, I would say, the main ones. There's always going to be other stuff as well, right? I would definitely caution people against eating the rotten cheese on the hype that we hear. A recent example off the top of my head, a few years ago, people were calling Darrell Taylor the next Von Miller based on training camp stuff, and we all know how that went. A few years ago, Russell Wilson's first year in Denver with Nathaniel Hackett, everybody was talking about how, number one, they were talking about how good Wilson looked, and number two, they were talking about how the offense had been perfectly fine-tuned and cultivated for Russell Wilson's skill set. There are countless examples of this over the years, but the point I'm trying to make is, when you hear stuff from training camp that says X and Y look amazing, and this looks incredible, it's cool. It might end up meaning something, but there's a real chance that it won't amount to anything. And you'll end up a few months later thinking, how did we ever, who believed that that was true? Who believed that that was something that was going to apply to the team this year? Again, I just gave 2 examples of situations where by the end of those respective years, if you went back in time and looked at what people were talking about out of camp, you'd swear you stepped into a parallel universe. So that kind of stuff, I'm not thinking about as much. Hopefully we hear good things, and it's great when we do. But at the same time, we've been. This is not my first rodeo. However, getting a feel for who might be winning certain positional battles, getting a feel for who might be earning playing time, getting a feel for who might earn a roster spot even, that's what it's all about. Let me know what you guys think. What are you looking for this training camp? What do you want to see? Possibly another video later today. If not, keep an eye out tomorrow. First practice is tomorrow. I should have stuff to say. Maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow evening. Maybe I'll talk about it the next morning. We'll try to establish some kind of a cadence here. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great day. Going to be announcing some fun stuff in the next few days, I think. So keep an eye out for that as well. We're here.